Sarah Thielen. I'm a horticulturist and landscape designer. In this segment today, we're going to talk about dividing iris. Iris are plants that are grown from underground stems, horizontal stems called rhizomes. These rhizomes need to be divided every 3 years. If they're left undivided, you're going to see a decrease in blooms, and you may even compromise the health of the rhizome. You can pretty much divide these anytime after they bloom in the spring and a couple weeks before it freezes in the fall. Some Irisonians say that 6 to 8 weeks after they bloom is the optimum time to divide iris. I'm just going to start by digging around the edge of the iris and gently lifting. These iris rhizomes are very near the surface, so they're fairly easy to lift. If you hear a little popping every so often, don't be too alarmed by that. So now that I've loosened it up, I can usually just sort of gently pull my clump of iris out. Now that I have them lifted, I'm going to try to shake off a lot of this soil so that I can really see what I'm working with here. The first thing I want to do is sort of pull apart the individual rhizomes, okay? So I have this one. And you can just snap those off, or you can cut them off for a little bit cleaner cut. Iris are pretty hardy, so they can handle a little bit of abuse. Now I've got to look for the old part of the rhizome where it's bloomed before. Once a rhizome has already bloomed, it's not going to bloom again, so we really don't need that portion. Usually you can tell because it'll be corky or leathery, and you just want to pop that off or cut it off. So I'm just going to snap that portion off, being sure to leave a nice size new rhizome here, at least 3 inches or so. The next thing I want to do, now that I have my rhizomes cleaned up, is I want to inspect them for damage. Now, if you did decide to wait 8 weeks after the iris bloomed, it's a good time to look for iris borers. You can look for the damage pretty much any time, but you can actually find the borers about 6 to 8 weeks after. I don't see any here. You also want to look for bacterial soft rot, which would be a squishy feel. These iris look fairly healthy to me. All right, now we're ready to plant our iris. And here I've already prepared a hole, and I placed some mounds in the hole. And you can either plant these individually in areas, or you can make a nice trio planting where you splay the roots over this mound, because these rhizomes need to be fairly close to the surface. You don't want to cover the rhizome. And you can place this foliage sort of all facing the same direction like this in a nice trio, which will look really nice in your garden. And then we cover up our plants, being sure not to cover the rhizome.